agency was exciting this year. There was a lot of big signings. So basically, you've already heard, I'm sure, because if you're listening to this, you listen to sports, you've already heard all the big names, everything going everywhere. So we're not going to, bore you with going back over that. But what we are going to do is we are going to pick a winner and a loser, a player and a team. So, Mr. BC, go ahead and start with you with yours. If you want to go ahead and go over your Bucks, what they did, and then jump into it, or however you want to take it, man. The floor is yours.
I mean, spoiler alert, the Bucks are probably one of my biggest winners in free agency. So it's like, yeah, I'll talk about them. I mean, re-signing Chris Godwin. Everyone who said that Chris Godwin was going to go elsewhere, it's like, I'm telling you, you're wrong. Everybody that thinks that all the Bucks free agents are going to go pursue money elsewhere, for the most part, you're wrong. Like the team has built a core and a culture around winning and being together. So, yeah, I called it. A lot of people called it. Like Chris Godwin re-signed. I think he was offered like 20+ million a year with the Patriots, and he turned it down because he didn't want to go play the rest of his career playing in obscurity, playing in a team that's not going to be anywhere close to the Super Bowl. So, re-signing him, signing Hassan Reddick. I'm not entirely sold on the move just because Reddick has kind of, I think, been middle of the pack as a pass rusher the last couple of years. He did lead the league in forced fumbles a few seasons ago. I think he had like 17 sacks or whatever a little while back too. But I do think that it's still like your biggest need in free agency has been needing a pass rusher, and I think that he will be good, not necessarily as a number one guy, but definitely can be a veteran that can help Yaya Diaby develop. I think Diaby still has number one, pass rusher potential. But signing him was a big move. Re-signing Levante David, convincing him to come back for another season was a big move as well. So that really helps us out. And then just making some depth additions here and there along offensive line, along cornerbacks, and then along middle linebackers too. So I think it was a pretty successful offseason. I would say that, we kept a lot of our guys in-house. A lot of them, again, internal free agents. So, it's like, oh, well, they didn't make a big splash. Well, re-signing a lot of our guys was a big splash. So
yeah, I don't think Godwin was. I don't really. In all actuality, I don't think he was ever going to go anywhere anyway, especially with that injury. He was having a great year. He seems to love Tampa Bay and playing with Mike Evans and Baker. So I think that was a smart move for him. And if you must really want to be there, if you're throwing $20 million pretty much out the window to stay with an organization, you must really love and respect what they're doing down there. Yep. So that's a big move for them. Well, I liked what they did with their offseason.
Well, that in New England as well is just like such a horrible place to be right now. So it's like, yeah, here's $20 million. What again? You're not a premium team. You got to kind of pay the price to get these free agents. But it's like, again, how many Pro Bowls? He's made like 1 or 2 Pro Bowls. He's won the Super Bowl. Been to countless playoff games. Like, why would you throw that away as you're getting past your age 30 season for what, an extra $5 million a year? It's not worth it.
Yeah, you can't buy happiness sometimes, and I think he was where he wanted to be in there. So, I agree. I think that was a really good move and for them. And I think that getting Hassan Reddick is an interesting move as well because they basically signed him to a 1-year prove-it deal. And that seems like that's been like the theme of this offseason. If you notice, that a lot of players are doing this 1-year deals, the prove-it deals, and they find out if they're a fit. I think Hassan Reddick has a lot to prove. He is one of the top rushers in the league. And on top of it, too, he had kind of a down year. And that was partially because of contract dispute. And he was on the Jets, and they obviously just didn't have that great of a season. But when he did come back and play, he still looked like he had it. He still looked like he was good. But I think that's a good move for them. You get a hungry player that wants to get that contract. He's still young. He's not old or anything like that. He was just
28 or 29, I want to say.
Right, so you could get him easily on like a 2 to 3 year contract, no problem after the season, and he'll still be in that ripe age that you want him to be at. So I think it's a good move all around for Tampa Bay as well.
Very much a Shaq Barrett kind of deal for sure.
Exactly.
Like, remember the year they signed him? They plucked him out of obscurity with the Broncos, and he ended up setting the team record for sacks.
Exactly.
And again, he was a guy that, he could have signed in free agency after that, but he chose to stay in Tampa because it was a place that gave him a shot. And with Reddick, though, too, like I said, and also another thing that we're not really talking about with him, he only cost $14 million to sign. If the Bucs were going to go after a Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson, not only were they going to have to trade north, or they were going to have north of $20 million invested into them, but you're also talking about having to trade a first or a second or a third round pick to get them. They just got to sign Reddick for free.
Yeah, essentially they did. They certainly did, and I think that he's going to be a good player for them, and you mentioned as well, you got a young line up there, and help him develop. Reddick has been a fantastic player. I think it's all around. He's been a fantastic player.
Yep.
So is that your winner for free agency as far as the team, or you're just going over what the Bucs did?
I think for me that's going to be my winner for an organization. I'm biased, but it's just I think when you look at the free agency as a whole, not just by one or two moves, but I think what the team was able to accomplish in terms of their own free agents that are key parts of the team, and then also to re-signing or signing additional pieces that will help either make an impact or add depth. I think that the Bucks pretty much are if they're not my number one, they're like top two, winners of free agency. And then I would say Chris Godwin as well, as a winner as well, because again,
Definitely.
dude was he didn't get north of 20 million that he wanted to, but he also stayed in the team that has been the most productive for him. And on top of that, he didn't lose that much money in terms of getting paid. I think they still gave him about 18 million a year, which for the season he was having up until that point, he was like first or second in the league in every statistical category for wide receiver. Like, he could have easily won the Triple Crown had he not been hurt. I think that's a steal for the Bucks, but I still think, again, he got paid. He made great money for what he's worth, and he's going to be in a program or in a team, an organization that will continue to feed him and will continue to take care of him and provide him all the production that he needs.
Yeah, no, I agree. Chris Godwin is definitely it worked out. He had a gruesome injury at the end of the year, clearly, and to be able to get re-signed and be able to stay with the team that you wanted to stay with is definitely good. So I would consider him definitely a winner in that.
Yeah, and
I have to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and there's probably a lot of, maybe outside of the Patriots, there might not have been a lot of teams that would have given that kind of money to him anyway, because they could see him as, damaged goods. Like, do we really want to invest in it? But Bucks still honor their commitments to him, and they take care of him. So
yeah. No, I agree, and I think the Bucks are seem like they're a well-run organization, and they seem like they're on the right track. Clearly, after losing Brady, they didn't really lose much. Baker came in and has been a godsend for them. Really, he's got a good contract. That it's similar to the contract that Sam Darnold just signed with the Seahawks. Around about the same amount, 3 years, $100 million, somewhere in that general area. No, I think the Bucks definitely had a good offseason so far. We saw the draft as well.